Pejeta Conservancy in Laikipia County has abundant wildlife. The 90,000-acre wildlife sanctuary is located at the foothills of two towering landmarks, the Aberdare Ranges to the left and the majestic Mount Kenya to the right.
Basically what we do is we're a not-for-profit organization that aims to achieve conservation, particularly of black rhinos, which is a highly endangered species. Plus community development. So development in the rural communities that live around us. So that's our mission. That's what we try to achieve.
Although the Conservancy teams with indigenous wildlife, it is the exotic endangered northern white rhino that distinguishes Pejeta from any other sanctuary. Sudan is the only male of its kind in the world. Partly blind and at an advanced age of 44 years old, the patriarch of the northern white rhino is unlikely to mate naturally with the two female northern white rhinos also housed at Pejeta.
We also have the last 3 remaining northern white rhinos left on the planet. Plus we have all the other species that you would expect to find in a typical East African system. So that's lions, leopards, etc., etc.
A visit to the enclosure that houses Sudan has the sad inkling of seeing a terminally ill patient succumbing to fate. For indeed, the last of a kind of the rhinoceros family could be coming to an end.
And these animals, they came to Pejeta in 2009 from Czech Republic, and they were 4. But unfortunately, we lost one of the male called Sunni.
Sudan was relocated to Pejeta from the Czech Republic, where he lived through cold, temperate climatic conditions in a zoo. His arthritic condition is a testimony of a harsh past that he endured to become the last of his kind.
We have worked with these rhinos for about 7 years now since they came, and they're all okay. Every morning we are doing general cleaning for this rhino, especially the feeding trap, and also we are supplementing them. When they're active, they used to be grazing by themselves. Yeah. That's why the rhinos can recognize every keeper by different voice, different smell, because they do have got very good sense of smell and hearing.
Effort has shifted to raising $9 million to develop a reproductive technology for the species for in vitro fertilization, while the aging and ailing Sudan is still alive.
The equipments need to be used for this in vitro fertilization. It costs a lot of money. So the money we get from tourists, it helps also to support the program.
The population of the northern white rhino was decimated by unbridled poaching in its native habitat of South Sudan, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. If the larger northern rhino becomes extinct, its only semblance would be its small cousin, the southern white rhino that is native to Kenya and other eastern and southern African countries. The other is the browser black rhino that is found in larger numbers across Eastern Africa.
Northern white rhino, they were from Central Africa, like Congo and South Sudan and western part of Uganda. Yet southern white rhino, they came from southern part of Africa, like Zambia, Namibia, those southern part. And the main difference is that southern white rhino, they are a little bit higher and they have got less fur on their ears, yet northern white rhino, they have got hairy ears. That's how you can easily tell when you come very close by. And the difference between black and white rhino is not all about the color. They all look same. White rhino has got squared or wide mouth, and they were the first to be discovered by the Dutch settlers in Africa. So people misheard the pronunciation from the Dutch people hearing fight and say white. So they are not really white in color. Black and white are all gray in color. Yet black rhino, they have got pointed mouth or prehensile lip, mainly for browsing, meaning they eat from the top. They eat branches from the trees. Yet white rhino, they eat from the ground, which they are mainly grazers. That's the only difference. There's nothing to do with the color. They all look same.
Old Pejeta prides itself for housing the single biggest population of black rhinos in the region. 100 black rhinos out of the 690 in Kenya roam the rangeland of the Conservancy under militarized protection to guard against poaching.
To achieve conservation, you need the support of people. Okay, so we need the support of the people who live around us. If they were not supportive of what we were trying to achieve, then it would be impossible for us to achieve the conservation of the black rhino, for example. We feel that the old Pejeta model for land use, which integrates cattle with wildlife conservation and tourism, and employs a lot of people and pays a lot of tax, is something that should be replicated in other parts of Kenya, because it provides value not only to the people who work here, but also to the people who live around us.
The management of the Conservancy has come up with an adoption program for animal enthusiasts to finance the upkeep of individual rhinos. The rhinos are named by their benefactors' choice names, who commit to send money regularly for upkeep of the respective rhino. To receive the money, mainly from abroad, Old Pejeta uses PayPal and is indeed committed to go cashless in 2017 for both domestic and foreign visitors.
55% of the people coming here are Kenyans, so that's a growing market for us, and it's definitely a market that we want to encourage as much as possible. We don't want to be transacting a lot of cash. So when people come through our gates, we don't want cash being transacted at our gates. It's a risk. Okay, so PayPal offers the opportunity to have an online booking system through which people can pay, and that includes people from abroad. So people from abroad are making bookings now to come to Old Pejeta through PayPal. So it's a really important system for us, and it works very effectively.
The Conservancy has launched a cashless system for payment of services and gate entrances. With the use of PayPal, they are confident their efforts will bear fruit.
Equity Bank is the only agent PayPal in Kenya. So if you want to be using PayPal as a method to transact, you automatically need to work with Equity Bank and to have an account with Equity Bank. And my understanding now is the period between payment and the cash becoming available has been shortened to three days, so the cash is almost immediately available to us once a customer has paid. It's a relationship we've had with Equity now for probably 4 or 5 years, and it works really effectively for us. What we find with our relationship with Equity and PayPal is it's very effective, it's easily managed, and it's efficient, and that makes our jobs much easier than they would otherwise be.
We must say that the service has been pretty effective, having helped us with the transition from cash to cashless, and even the accessibility of the money after 3 days. It's been pretty effective from what it was earlier on.
Old Pejeta Conservancy has proved to be an engine for economic growth in Laikipia, with over 1,000 people employed in different sections of the company.
At the same time as achieving conservation, we aim to be an engine for economic development. Employ 1,000 people, for example, as well as contributing to the community development requirements of the people living around us.
Within the Conservancy is Sweetwater's Chimpanzee Sanctuary, an enclosure that houses chimpanzees rescued from captivity.
Sweetwater's Chimpanzee Sanctuary was started in 1993, and the main reasons to why it was started was to be a refuge for mistreated and orphan chimpanzees, which were rescued from Burundi from people who had kept them as pets. They were all born in the wild. The poachers killed the adults and captured these babies when they were young and sold them to people who ended up keeping them as pets, but with age they were not easy to manage, and that's the reason why most of them ended up in very poor conditions, needing to be rescued.
There are 36 chimpanzees enclosed in the 250-acre piece of land partitioned by fencing and a river.
So we have a group of 21 chimpanzees and another group of 15. And these two groups are completely separated. Chimpanzees are territorial. The two groups will never live together. So we have to make sure that the boundaries are well kept. What would happen is that two groups of chimpanzees meeting each other would fight fiercely. And this has also been documented in the wild. Chimpanzees are able to use tools, to modify tools of different use. You know, for example, if you would give a chimpanzee a hard nut, like a coconut, and do the same to a baboon, A baboon will not be able to look for a rock or look for a hard surface to smash the hard coconut, But a chimpanzee will definitely go look for a rock, or either look for a hard surface and smash the coconut. Scientists say that we share more than 98% of our genes with chimpanzees. So they are closer related to humans than they are related to the gorillas, who happens to be a member of the great apes.
Chimpanzees are part of the great apes family. They are not indigenous to Kenya, but they are thriving in the specially preserved habitat.
They're not indigenous to Kenya, and I may say naturally they live in the tropical rainforest of Africa. Currently we have chimpanzees living in 21 African countries, which are within the equatorial region. And the number is estimated to be between 150 to 250,000. And they are in a group of what we call the great apes family, which consists of the chimpanzees, the gorillas, the orangutans, and the bonobos. The gorillas, the chimpanzee, and the bonobos are the great apes that are found in Africa.
Pejeta Conservancy has implemented an integrated system of rearing livestock in conjunction with wildlife. There are over 7,000 cattle in the conservancy, which once mature are slaughtered for supply of prime beef cuts.
We have ended up choosing on the Boran as the animal of choice because, one, we know it's one of the best breeds that can convert straight grazing or natural pasture into beef within very good period of time.
The Boran is an indigenous breed in the area and is therefore the choice breed for the conservancy, where it is bred for the market.
Our main cattle is the Boran, which is an indigenous breed of cattle which has been improved over about 100 years. And that's our primary breed here. It's resistant to disease. It's accustomed to living with wildlife. It can produce beef in fairly tough conditions. So this is a semi-arid area of Kenya. So the conditions for fattening and growing cattle are not as good as they might be in other parts of Kenya. And the Boran cattle is very suited to being able to survive in that environment. So that's why we use the Boran. We're the biggest Boran breeder in Kenya, probably the world actually, and we're regularly the champion Boran breeder in the biannual livestock shows in Nairobi.
We are actually a bit challenged with the amounts of rainfall that we get every year. We receive about 700 millimeters on average per year, which is not really very sufficient to give us enough grazing. And it's only the Boran animal that can survive in such circumstances.
In concert with rearing Boran cattle, the Conservancy also rears the long-horned Ankole Watusi cattle, whose long, splendid horns can grow up to 2.4 meters in length.
The Ankole cattle we have here because they were brought here about 10 years ago to extract embryos from them to re-export those embryos to South Africa. And they have these big horns, which people like to see, but in terms of their beef production capability, they're not as good as the Boran.
The two breeds of cattle are critical to manage the grazeland as they naturally manure pasture.
You cannot manage how one brave will graze within the natural habitat. But with livestock or with other cattle, you can manage them because you have herders, because you have a planned grazing system. There are places that you want to bring graze down. There are other places that you want with better pastures that you want maybe to graze fast.
Beyond the confines of Pejeta is integration with the society through community development projects. The partnerships include development of infrastructure, building classrooms and amenities.
Last year we spent something in the region of $650,000, so about 65 million shillings, on community development work around us. That's support to education, dispensaries, energy management.
56,000 people in our communities benefit from our various projects in one way or the other. We have 36 schools which we support. We support schools through infrastructure. We build computer labs, libraries, and furnish them with books.
Among the flagship projects of Pejeta is equipping local schools with computers and training of teachers in ICT. Pejeta also offers scholarships to the bright, needy scholars. The funding, mainly from abroad, is also channeled through the cashless system.
We have 56 students in various secondary schools who are benefiting from the old Pejeta bursary scheme. We pay for their school fees from Form 1 all the way to Form 4.
Pejeta gives me scholarship from Form 1 to Form 4. The fees is too high for my parents to pay, so Pejeta came in and helps me. In class, I attend grades B and above, and I want to become an electrical engineer.
Other community support projects include funding for tree planting to conserve the environment, in concert with building energy-saving jikos, manufactured by the Conservancy at subsidized prices.
The energy-saving jikos use a little amount of fuel.
For the discerning tourist, the safari package starts before entry to the Conservancy. Once inside the park, visitors have a choice of viewing game by day or by night, and from the vehicles or tracking animals on foot.
In a bush, you can see so many things. Footprints, types all of animals, and you go closer to them. You see it properly. You have to be at least 4 to 3 people, rangers.
A visit to Old Pejeta guarantees sighting of most of the big 5 game that include the buffalo, elephant, rhino, lion, and the leopard. Other animals that you will definitely see are giraffes, zebras, warthogs, antelopes, and a wide variety of birds.